so it's been 2 weeks since I added that big hefty feeding of cardboard and then a layer of food and some bedding into the trash bag. So let's open it up now and see what it looks like. So I have my layer of bubble wrap, thin bubble wrap on the top. If I pull that off, a lot of worms on the top. They're definitely all over the surface of this thing. A lot of castings, especially in the corners, I can see there. Let's dig down into the layer of paper towels and also the food that I had down about 4 inches underneath here. Actually, surprisingly, it's actually a little bit dry. I mean, it's not totally dry, but it's not as moist as I would want it, which really surprises me. I guess that cardboard that I had in there hadn't soaked up enough moisture, or I'm not really sure. A lot of castings for sure. There's no sign at all of any of this food that was in here. I don't see the big numbers of worms like I've had before that are concentrating in areas. I think part of that might be because it is a little bit drier than I would want it. And there's still worms everywhere mixed within here, but again, I mean, it's barely damp. I would prefer to keep it a little bit wetter than that. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more wetted cardboard in there and a good feeding on top of this with a little bedding. Okay, this is the cardboard I'm going to go ahead and add into the system today. So it consists of like a Captain Crunch box, a Kleenex box, an Amazon box, tacos, Klondikes, a couple paper sacks. I'm going to go ahead and rip it up into, larger chunks and then throw it in a bucket of water for a few minutes to soften it up before I put it in the system. And one thing I am going to do is I'm just going to leave these labels. A lot of times I'll peel all these labels off, and also the strips, the tape strips that come on Amazon box, because they have a fiberglass fiber or something in it. But I'm going to go ahead and throw them all in the bin just like this and see how they come out. I mean, the worms will eat all the glue and stuff off of there and the paper and stuff, so I think what I'll end up with is just some fibers in my final castings, and I can easily sift them out. Okay, this is the food I'm going to add to it too. You can see I got about 7 or 8 oranges, I suppose, in here. I'm not going to add all of this into the trash bag, but again, I'm getting really lazy, and as I pull this stuff, this is exactly how it came out of the kitchen. A bunch of strawberry pieces and stuff. Some cardboard boxes. I throw a lot of the cardboard boxes in my compost bin too, and that way they soak up all this material. Tops of broccoli and stuff. I have a bag of squash that I still have in the freezer. And I have another bag full of stuff here. Eggshell carton or covers. A lot of cardboard. Whoops. A lot of cardboard in here. And just miscellaneous garbage for the most part. But I'm going to put a good hefty feeding of this material in with the cardboard into the trash bag. I'm also going to go through this before I add the food and mix it up really good and go ahead and, like I always do, kind of rip up some of the existing cardboard pieces that are in here into smaller pieces. Because you don't want this stuff compacting into a anaerobic area where no oxygen can get in between the material if it's really compacted down. Plus, I think with doing a trash bag like this, I really think it's good to agitate it up and mix it. It separates the chunks of cardboard and just gets more exposure for the stuff to break down. Okay, so I'm going to add a small layer of wet cardboard on here, and then I'll add a bunch of food on top of that. So I've had this cardboard and stuff soaking for probably 5 minutes, maybe not quite 5 minutes. But notice on these, you know, I have this fiber tape is still on these. I'm just going to leave everything on it, and we'll see how. You can see one of the strands right here. These will be in the final product for sure, because this is definitely a fiberglass. But I think the worms will eat most of the rest of that. I'm going to actually not wring this stuff out too much, because the bin does seem a little bit dry to me, so I want to add a little bit more moisture to it this time. So I'm going to get one layer, and I'm trying to break these up again so they aren't layered flat. So about like that. Now I'll add some food on top of it. Okay, I'm going to take this bag, just dump the whole contents in there. Onion, a lot of moisture in this stuff. I'm just going to spread this food scraps kind of all over the top of this. Some eggshells that they're going to show up in the final product for sure, but oh well. I'm going to grab a couple of these oranges and just split them open a little bit and set them face down. A couple different locations in here. And get a little variety and add a handful of squash in here too. Okay, that's pretty hefty. I'm going to add a little bit more cardboard on top of it. You can tell for the most part, most of these are pretty good sized chunks. It just took me a minute to rip them up. I didn't go to any extraordinary effort to make them all that small. Okay. Let's get all this cardboard. And the last little bit of it. Maybe the and the final step, I'm just going to go ahead and add some bedding to cover all this up. I'll mix this up a little bit into the cardboard and the food. Just try and give some separation again so things don't go anaerobic in areas here. I'll add one more tub of food or bedding. A tiny little bit more. So that's it. We got our good layer of cardboard. We got a good layer of food scraps in there. I topped it all off with about 3 gallons or so of moist bedding. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little thin layer of bubble wrap over the top of this thing, and we'll take a look at it next week. So that's all for today. This is Tom from VermiBag. Ciao.